Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to our latest episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to go over the Minnesota Vikings victory over the Washington Commanders, then talk a little bit about the College Football Playoff Committee, as well as the College Football Playoff. And then DC and I will do our pick six and the show. So just going right into it, DC, Vikings, probably their most decisive win of the season. I thought overall the defense played great. They had a great game plan for shutting down Jane Daniels. He is still injured, so there's that too. But overall, they created turnovers. I think we had 3 exact. If I'm mistaken that, let me know. But AVG pick, a Harrison Smith pick, and then Hargrave with the forced fumble recovery. I think those were the 3 big turnovers. But yeah, just in the past weeks, we haven't been able to turn over the other opposing offense, and I think that helped a lot today. And then we rushed the football effectively, and J.J. McCarthy made most of his opportunities. I thought he played one of his better games of the season. He looked more poised in the pocket. When he was pressured, he would extend the play with his legs, things that we've just been wanting to see. So I was overall happy with that performance from J.J. McCarthy on offense. One thing that still stands out is sometimes when he's pressured, he still throws the ball a little inaccurate, but he's working on that. So we'll see. Overall, I saw overall growth, and that's what I've been wanting to see. But you can also say that he just played the Washington Commanders, and they don't have a great defense, and that's a very good point too. But overall, the last 4 weeks left here, I just want to continue to see growth like this from J.J. McCarthy, and hopefully that he can give us a little sense of hope going into the offseason that he could be our guy for the future. I still think no matter what, though, they need to bring in another veteran this offseason to compete with him and give the job to whoever wins that job. So overall, I was super happy about the game. Of course, it affects our draft positioning, which is a little bummer, but overall, I was happy we won. I needed to see that from the Vikes. It gave me hope when things are going right and things are playing out how we kind of expected them to play this year, that we have a pretty good football team.
Yeah. I think today. Okay. I think yesterday's game was probably JJ's best game he played all year, besides the second half against the Bears in week 1. They were saying at the beginning of the game, this might be a tight end game. And all 3 of his touchdowns were 2 tight ends, 2 to Oliver and 1 to Hawkinson. And I think he threw the ball well. Yep, he threw the ball over some receivers, and he made some not smart throws. But when he found the open guy, he found him, and he hit his targets. Hawkinson had a good game. Oliver had a good game. Naylor had a good game. They got Jefferson involved a little bit. I think they should get him involved a little bit more. But that running game was good because I think they had like 176 yards rushing yesterday. And
yeah, we did. It was up there.
What impressed me the most throughout the whole game, it was their second drive when there was like 18 plays, almost 12 minutes off the clock. And like, I never seen that before with the Vikings in a very long time. And they were just constantly running the ball, running and passing. And Washington's defense was just torched after that. And I think the offense did awesome. Defense did great. Everything. And I think it was all around a great game. Only person that kind of scared me was Price, but he didn't fair catch that ball. He needs to be a little smart about that. But it also was nice in the fourth quarter to see Ty Filling get a pass thrown to him for like 8 yards. So it was it was nice to see different players getting the ball, like Xavier Scott and all that stuff. So I think it was a heck of a game, good blocking. CJ had that really nice block when they were on the 2 yard line on that before that long drive. And yeah, I
Hmm.
think all around it was a good game for them.
Yeah, I agree. And you hit a lot of good points there. It was nice to see Felton be able to get out some opportunity. With the Thielen release, we didn't mention that either. He wanted out. And hey, he went to the Steelers. More opportunity maybe there for him, but it was nice to see Felton, who was our draft pick last year for us, and I think it was around 3 or 4, get out there and just show what he could maybe do. So get him some experience here through the stretch of the last 4 weeks. I think it's very important. And then Jefferson, yeah, if you look at the stats, I think it's 2 catches for 20 something yards, maybe 22, 27, something like that. But one thing you got to remember with him, and they're consistently always double teaming him. They're taking him out of the game plan. So, but KLC needs to figure out a way to, you know, um, go against that when that's happening in the game to give Jefferson the ball a little more. And they tried that with some quick play action or quick passes to the outside with him too. So, but yeah, overall, I was happy about that performance. If you told me that you're upset that we won because of draft positioning, I understand that too. You know, but overall, it was just nice to get that sour taste out of our mouth, and we'll just deal with the draft positioning once the season's over and see where we're at. But all right, so I want to move on to the next topic, and this is a hot button topic right now in sports, in college football in general. As you all know, I'm a huge Notre Dame Irish fan, and you're probably gonna guess how this conversation is going to go. Um, Big D's a big Bama fan, so that's also a fun little component to this to have someone that loves Bama just as much as I love my Irish. And so this, I'm promised to my friends out there that the last 2 days I've been talking about this kind of nonstop because it's just been extremely disappointing, extremely frustrating that they left my Irish out of it. And I promise you that this is going to be it. Unless someone else brings it up, I'm leaving my thoughts on this podcast right now. So if I start talking about the future with me, just say, hey, Riley, remember what you said? Let's stop talking about it. Just give me a little reminder. Sometimes we all need simple little reminders like that. But before I ask your opinion, Big D, I'm just going to go over my spiel here. Okay. So the thing is that, yesterday I was patiently waiting. I watched the college football championship Saturday, caught the Friday game there with JMU. And I was just patiently waiting there on Sunday for the selection show. And I was nervous. And the things that I was nervous about kind of came to fruition or came to light and actually happened with things that I was worried that they're going to do. And it was frustrating sitting there. Right from the get-go, they showed that nice little clips with all these teams and playing, making plays. I'm like, where the hell's Notre Dame? They're not showing Notre Dame. They keep showing the U. They keep showing Bama. They finally cut in a clip of Jeremiah Love. I was like, okay. But I should have knew it right from then. But here's the thing. As they're going through the list, as soon as I saw Bama pop up there at 9 and they didn't move them, my heart sank immediately. My wife probably thought I seen a ghost because I knew what was going to happen next. This was always a talk. It's when this happens, and I fully understand this, and I fully agree with why they put Miami in over Notre Dame when Miami had the head-to-head matchup in week 1. Okay. And they won by 3 points, But over the last stretch of the 10 games of the season, Notre Dame was one of the top football teams in all college football in metrics and everything. Before the championship, before the committees made their playoff, Notre Dame was a 3rd or 4th favorite to win the national championship. And here's going my spiel. Okay, so I understand the whole point of moving Miami over Notre Dame. But before I talk about Bama, I want to talk about this. The thing that frustrates me the most is the committee throughout the whole college football playoff selection process, the shows that they show on Tuesdays, they consistently had Notre Dame ranked ahead of Miami the whole time. They both sat on the couch this weekend to watch football games. Yes, they beat us head to head. I understand that. Okay. But why did it take to the last week, the college football, conference championship weekend, to flip them? That's the thing that frustrates me the most. They gave us a false sense of hope that Notre Dame was making it. Okay. Now, this is a thing that pisses me off the most. And conference championships, what do they mean? They mean absolutely nothing, it shows. Because here's the thing. Georgia handles Bama, right? Easily. Georgia doesn't get rewarded for winning their conference championship. They stay at seed number 3 in the playoff. Ohio State drops a 2, which, okay, I get that they only lost to Indiana by, 3 points it was? But Georgia just won the SEC title. The SEC conference is one of the best conferences in college football, right there at the Big Ten. So they didn't reward Georgia for winning the SEC championship. They didn't punish Bama for losing the SEC championship in the way they did, which they sat at the 9 seed still, okay? And going back before this, okay, I'll finish my point here and then I'll go back. But they punish BYU for losing their conference championship game. That's a double standard. You can't do that. If you're not gonna punish Bama for losing their conference championship in the way they did, you shouldn't punish BYU for losing their conference championship either. That's a double standard. That's SEC bias right there. Okay. You look at the committee, you look at college football playoff is pretty much predominantly owned, the TV rights, by ESPN. ESPN and ABC, same thing. They have a deal with the SEC. You look at who's the head of the committee, an athletic director from Arkansas who's in the SEC. Now, people might not know this, but after week 1, you have bowl games. Bowl games, the winners win prize money for their conference. So everyone in that conference gets a little bit of money for these teams winning these bowl games. Notre Dame doesn't have to split the pot because they're independent, so people don't like that. They don't like them getting the money. Like last year when we won our 2 bowl games and went to the national championship, people are furious about that, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, frankly. So you can't sit here and tell me that Alabama is a better football team than Notre Dame, especially the past 4 weeks they've played. And here's the kicker. Mark Ingram, Damian Harris, ex-Alabama players are saying that this football team does not belong in the college football playoff. And to go back to before the conference championship week, Notre Dame was ranked ahead of Bama. Notre Dame goes and plays Stanford. They beat the rails off them. Alabama barely gets by a struggling Auburn football team who fired their head coach halfway through the season. What do? They flipped them. They put Bama ahead of Notre Dame. That should have never happened. That opened the door for us to have this comparison between Notre Dame and Miami. And I agree Miami should be in it, right? They beat us. But Bama with no punishment for how they've been playing is not fair, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I know you're a big Bama football fan, and you have told me you agree with me. If you're going to put them tomorrow playing, right? Well, I think Notre Dame has a better football team.
Oh yeah,
and we would outplay
absolutely.
Alabama. Okay. So the fact is just like, why do these conference they're not, you can't punish one team for losing their conference game and not punish the other. And I bring up BYU because BYU is ranked at 11 before this conference championship weekend. Miami was at 12. Notre Dame and Miami both sat on the couch. BYU, they flipped them down behind Miami after they lost their conference championship game. They didn't punish Bama for losing their conference championship game. Didn't reward Georgia for winning their conference championship game. So it's like, why are we even playing these conference championships if they're not going to have implications of the college football playoff? Okay. Now, I was always on the thing. Like, I understand. Like, you probably look at Bama's schedule. They have probably a tougher schedule. But if you look at the whole picture, they haven't been outplaying the bottom feeders in the SEC the last 4 weeks. They've been struggling. And here's another thing that really frustrated me is before they flipped Notre Dame and Alabama, the committee kept saying the only reason why they weren't flipping Bama and Notre Dame at that time and putting Bama ahead is because Notre Dame can run the football and Bama's been struggling to run the football. And then they go up and put -3 yards on conference championship weekend. So if you don't say there's SEC bias there, I don't know what else to tell you. But that's my thought. It sucks the Irish are out of it. I completely agree why they didn't take the bowl game. Why risk your players' injury, right? I do feel bad for the kids who are seniors who probably never play football again. But why risk your other underclassmen to be on the team next year of injury? And also, why give ESPN all this money when they just screwed you out of the college football playoff? And another point is, I'm trying to think what I was going to say here, but Notre Dame was jockeying for a national championship. The bowl games are fun. They're all fun. We're going to go play in the freaking Pop-Tart Bowl. The Pop-Tart Bowl is what it was going to be. Like, why would you want to go play in the Pop-Tart Bowl? Go freaking win a star for a strawberry Pop-Tart trophy? It's just like, to me, bowl games right now with the college football landscape is like the NIT in basketball. People want to be in the dance. They don't want to be in the freaking NIT. They want to be in the dance. So I understand completely why they decided not to play the bowl game, but that's my spiel. I'm leaving it out here. You know, it is what it is. Best of luck to all the teams going forward. I hope Bama proves their worth of being in there, and I hope they can win for you. But yeah, it's just frustrating. And we'll see. Maybe you know, something has to change with this format. Like, and you know, the thing is, it's like, you can't tell me that you can. The thing with the auto bids drives me nuts. You're gonna have Tulane and JMU in there. They're probably both gonna get steamrolled in their first game, and it's not gonna be competitive. Yes, we want to make them participate, right? Okay. The non-power 4 schools this year, the ACC was abysmal. That's why they didn't get a bid, right? Or they didn't get a bid for the conference champion because their conference was rated lower than the Sun Belt, and conference champion was rated lower than the Sun Belt in whatever Tulane's in there. Is it the American?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but something like that. It might be the American, yeah. So I don't think it's just a scenario this way they played out. You don't have the 12 best teams in college football in the playoff. That's what we want. We want the 12 best teams. We want all games to be as close as possible and competitive as possible. And JMU versus Oregon, they're going to get freaking smoked. Tulane, they might put up a little bit of a fight, but they're probably going to get smoked too.
Yeah.
What I think they do is they either move to 16. If you're not going to move to 16, then you should maybe have like seeds 11 and 12 play the first two out of it then. You know what I mean? So the first two teams get knocked out. Why don't you have those 4 teams play to get those 10th or the 11th and 12th seed? That could be an idea they do. I just honestly hope they move to 16 and we don't have to worry about this anymore. But, you know, if Notre Dame was like 10 and or 9 and 3 and we didn't make it, I totally understand. But we win and lost to Texas A&M, who's in the college football playoff at 7 by a point, and then Miami by a field goal in the first 2 weeks, and you leave us out. It's just very frustrating. So, all right, that's my spiel of how I feel about it. But Big D, what do you think?
So I totally agree 100% what you're saying. This year's bracket, I think it's a bust. I think it's a bust. I think, like you said, Alabama has been playing like not good football for the last 4 weeks. I think they should bump down to a 10. Then, and then Alabama will take Miami's spot, have Miami out. The Notre Dame will be at number 9. Then they'll play Oklahoma. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's what the AP poll had us rated 9th in the final.
For
their final poll.
I watched some of Notre Dame's games this year. For me, I'm looking at this bracket right now. Notre Dame is probably better than half these teams in this bracket. I think only teams that can probably give Bama
best player in college football, Jeremiah Love.
Absolutely. 100%. I think the teams that can give Notre Dame a run is probably Indiana, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Yep, I would say that's fair for sure. I would have those teams ranked ahead of them, definitely. Maybe Texas Tech too. I think Texas Tech could surprise people. They got a pretty good defense.
Like, Texas Tech kind of reminds me of Boise State of last year.
Yeah, but I think Texas Tech's a deeper team.
And it just,
I think their offense is better. Like, Boise State was too reliant on Genty, and once you shut him down, you could just take out their game plan. But Texas Tech, they can run the football, and they have a really good arsenal of passing the football. And their defense plays as one unit. That's they're. I was impressed with Texas Tech over the weekend.
The best games for the quarterfinal this year for the first round, it's gonna be Alabama and Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, and
for sure, yeah, that'll be a fun one.
And it's just because, like, we're gonna go through the brackets. We're gonna pick who's gonna win everything. It just.
Yeah, speaking of that, maybe we should just move right into that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, DC and I are going to do a bracket together. Hold on, Dan. Let me present my screen to you on the app. I got my tablet too. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. That works. So the first game is Oregon, or not the first game, but the first game in the bracket is first 12 Oregon versus James Madison. I think we're both going to agree on that one. Then Oregon's going to win that football game. Okay. Alabama and Oklahoma. Persuade me. Okay, so in my personal bracket, I actually picked Alabama because I just think that even though that I'm pissed off that they made it, that there's still a damn good football team, right? But they just have to have everything clicking to be that good football team. And I don't know if Oklahoma is as good as their ranking shows.
They've been saying all season that Oklahoma has been having trouble scoring points. And
for sure,
and
definitely.
And
you just don't know what Alabama football team you're gonna get. That's the problem.
Like one week you have them fail, like the SEC championship game. Then you're gonna have them come out and have Ty Simpson is gonna have a game of his life and everything. So Alabama's the up and down team, like that. So
yeah, they did. Then that's the thing. Do you want an inconsistent football team in the playoff? No, you don't. Who's been more consistent? Notre Dame. But going to this, I would agree with you. If you say Bama's going to win this game, I feel like Bama has the weapons on their team. It just depends on what team shows up. That's the thing. But I think Bama's going to go in there in Norman, Oklahoma and beat them. Do you agree with that? Okay. So then we're going to drop down to Ole Miss versus Tulane. I think we're both going to agree that Ole Miss is going to win that one. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if Tulane maybe pulled it off just because Lane Kiffin is no longer the coach at Ole Miss. He left for LSU. So they don't have their head coach, but I think not Lanning, but their DC's moving into the head coaching job, which was a good move for them. But I think Ole Miss will probably pull that off still. Then we have Miami versus Texas. Is it a tricky matchup? Carson Beck has good playoff experience, but I feel like Texas A&M, that crowd's going to be a lot. And
I'm going Texas A&M over Miami. I'm not a big fan of Carson Beck. Like, I think he's just
for sure.
overrated.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say overrated. He used to be
Yeah,
overrated, but now he's
yeah, it
definitely kind of rated where he should be.
just not a big fan of the guy or anything. So
All right, so now we're going to go next round. We have the Capital One Orange Bowl. We have Oregon versus Texas Tech. I would, here's the thing. This is a tough game. This would be a good matchup. I just think Oregon's going to
Mhm.
get it done this year. I think they're going to advance past that round. I think last year, I think they have a better quarterback in Dante Moore than Dylan Gabriel. If Moore leaves this season, he'll be my number 2 on my draft board with Mendoza at 1, the IU quarterback. But he's going to be, if he left,
Mhm.
he's going to be a top 5 pick. So I just think they have an overall better roster. I would probably be rooting a little bit for Texas Tech, but I think Oregon's going to
Yeah,
win this game.
I think that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a really good game. But I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go with Oregon on that one.
So then we got the Rose Bowl game. We have Alabama versus Indiana. And you have to remember, too, last year, every single team that was on a bye lost, which was crazy. But I think Indiana is definitely one of the better football teams in the country. This is going to be a tough matchup, though, because it's the same thing we just talked about before. It just depends on the Bama team you get. When they're on, they're definitely one of the best football teams in college football, but they're just inconsistent. You just don't know what they're going to bring. So I would probably go Indiana over them, maybe.
See,
But what do you think?
I think that's gonna be a. I think that's gonna be a great game. Like that's gonna be a good game. And
Mm-mm.
uh, like you said, we don't know what team Alabama's gonna come in. Like I think they're coming hot.
And they just, they just came off of they're in this scenario, they'd come off playing already. They're ready to go. They went to Oklahoma on this scenario and beat them. So is IU going to be rusty? That's my one thing I worry about, with them coming off that bye. But
I'm gonna stick with my boys. I'm gonna stick with Alabama on that one.
you're going to go Alabama.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have to agree on this to move on. So tell me why you think Alabama over IU.
it just I think because Alabama has been successful in the playoffs,
Yep.
but that was under Nick Saban,
Yeah.
and now this would be the coach's first like action in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, and I have faith in him. I really do to push in this playoffs, but I just don't know if he has like a Nick Saban in
Mm-hmm.
him, and it just
Okay, I'm just going to say this,
I just
okay? Kurt Signetti, he finds way to win football games.
yeah.
Indiana has a good defense. Do you see what they just held Ohio State, which I would argue is probably one of the top offenses in all of college football, to 10 points over the weekend in a neutral site. So if it was me, I think I would roll with Indiana, but I understand where you're coming from Bama. But okay, I will just do this. You roll with Bama on this one. I'll roll with Indiana.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So we're gonna have it's gonna be a little different from you initially thought, but that's fine. All-State Sugar Bowl. We have Ole Miss versus Georgia. I think Georgia's gonna win that game,
Yeah.
especially with the
Hey,
way they're playing on defense right now.
yeah, all right. I think that's gonna be another good game. And yeah, I think it's just Georgia could be too much for Ole Miss.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm gonna
agree.
I'm gonna pick Georgia.
Honestly, I think whoever wins out on this lower part of the bracket is probably gonna win the national championship.
Yeah.
So, next game, Texas A&M versus Ohio State in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. All these games too are on New Year's Eve. Alabama or the Indiana game, the Georgia game, the Ohio State game, and then the Texas Tech would be on New Year's Eve. So that's gonna be fun couple days there. But going back, Texas A&M versus Ohio State. I think, hey, going back to last year, what happened after Ohio State lost lost the game before the playoff? They freaking won the national championship. So I think they're gonna have a little chip on their shoulder. I think Ohio State's gonna beat Texas A&M in this game. I think Ohio State has one of the best rosters in all of college football.
Yeah. I'm gonna totally agree with you. I'm gonna go sadly go Ohio State. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I do not like them. But yeah,
Yeah,
I just um yeah, I think
it's okay
Ohio State's could be a little bit too much for Texas A&M.
for sure. So then we have Oregon versus Indiana. I think I think Oregon gets it done. Like I'm picking them to be in the national championship. Like they went Indiana beat Oregon. Or I don't did they beat them this year? I thought
Yeah,
they did. Maybe
yeah,
they didn't, but
yeah. Because
they
Indiana's
did, didn't they?
undefeated.
They played earlier this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
Indiana
a
is
close
undefeated.
game.
Yeah.
So I think Oregon, they clean up some mistakes they had in the Indiana game. They definitely win. Um, and Dan Land, I like their head coach too.
Mm,
Dan Lanning, I think it is, right?
yeah. I
So who are you gonna pick in this one?
I'm
Well,
sticking.
actually, it'd be Bama versus
Yeah,
Oregon. So for you,
I'm gonna stick with Bama. I'm going to.
okay, so you'd have Bama and the Natty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it just depends on the football team you're getting. Like I thought they should have been left out because of the way they've been playing, but
Hmm.
they are a good football team. Like they definitely are. You could argue that they had one of the best wins in college football when they went and knocked Georgia off at their home site and gave Georgia their first loss in like 35 home games or something like that.
Hmm.
Okay, Georgia, Ohio State. I'm gonna pick Ohio State. I think we're gonna have all Big Ten in the championship. It's gonna be Oregon versus Ohio State. Definitely could see it be Georgia though, just the way they're playing. But I think whoever wins this football game is going to win the national championship.
See, for this game, I think this is gonna be the game of the year. Uh
This game should be the national championship
yeah.
game.
Hey, you're going. So you're pretty much going from like a number two defense against a number one offense, and like
And Ohio State has a really good defense
yeah,
too. Reese, he's going to be probably potentially number one pick. Downs, he's going to be in the top 5, 10.
man. I
Both those guys are rated in my top 5 on my draft big board.
and I dislike both teams, but I gotta pick one, and I'm gonna go Ohio State over Georgia.
Okay. So your natty's going to be Bama versus Ohio State. My natty's going to be Oregon versus Ohio State. Like I said before, I thought whoever wins this Georgia-Ohio State game would win it. So I'm picking Ohio State to win it all. Big D, you got Ohio State and Bama. What do you think?
I'm rolling with Bama.
All right, so you're gonna have a potential first round out
Yeah,
winning the natty.
you know.
Just kidding. So I'll have to write this down. Big D's picking. We'll have this podcast, remember, episode. So Big D's picking Bama over Ohio State. So you heard it here first. That's who I'm picking. That's who Big D's picking. We'll see how it all rolls out. Hopefully Bama doesn't get dropped the first game there. But all right, so moving on to the topic. Just real quick, we're just gonna go over our pick sixes. So right now the pick six record through week 13 is sitting at me. I have 35 correct, 19 incorrect. Big D has 32 correct, 22 incorrect. And you remember one thing that's a little difficult in our selections is that we have to make sure that we pick an upset of the week. It has to be a team that's not favored over the other opposing team. So that makes it a little more of a challenge. But yeah, my week 5 or week 15 going into next week here, I have the Eagles over the Raiders, the Jags over the Jets, the Texans over the Cardinals, the Bears over the Browns, the Seahawks over the Colts, and then my upset of the week is going to be the Lions over the Rams. The Rams right now are the favorite at home. DC, do you want to go over yours? Or do you want me to
You can
go over
go
for
over
you?
it because I kind of forgot.
Okay. DC has the Bears over the Browns, Pats over the Bills, Rams over the Lions, 49ers over the Titans, and Seahawks over the Cards. Or no, Seahawks over the Colts, my bad. Can't read my handwriting here. And then the upset of the week is the Broncos over the Green Bay Packers he's picking. So we'll see what happens with those picks, and then we'll see who ends up being the winner at the end of the regular season with our score. So right now, Big D is I'm going to be 4-2 on week 14. DC is potentially going to be 3-3 or 2-4, depending on if the Chargers beat the Eagles. So, but yeah, I think that brings us to this point of the show where we've kind of made our statements. Like I said, I promise I'll stop talking about Notre Dame being snubbed from it. Next year, DC, they do play Wisconsin at Lambeau Field week 1. I'm gonna try to go to that if I can. That'd be incredible experience for sure. So, but yeah, thank you for listening, like always, supporting us, and we'll catch you next time. Big D, finish it off.
Skol Vikes.
Thank you for listening to our episode. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and X at Naptime Sports Talk Podcast for content related to the pod. Thank you for the support.